Let us get one thing straight right out of the gate. It's not that you're bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not irresponsible. And you're definitely not broken because your savings account never seems to grow. If saving money feels impossible, you're not alone and you're not crazy. Millions of Americans are working hard, paying their bills, doing what they're supposed to do, and still wondering where their money goes every single month. Here's the hard truth nobody tells you: the system isn't built to help you save. It's built to keep you spending. From rising rent and car payments to subscription overload and easy credit, everything around you is designed to drain your paycheck before you ever get a chance to build real savings. Add in stagnant wages, surprise expenses, and the pressure to keep up, and suddenly saving money feels like a game you can't win. Most financial advice makes it worse. You're told to just budget better or cut back on lattes, like that's the magic fix. But that advice ignores real life. It ignores stress spending after a long workday. It ignores groceries that cost way more than they used to. It ignores the fact that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck not because they're careless, but because the margin is razor thin. And when saving doesn't work, people blame themselves. That's the biggest mistake. The problem isn't you, it's the strategy you were never taught. Saving money isn't about willpower or extreme discipline. It's about having a system that works with real pills, real habits, and real American life. In this video, we're breaking down why saving feels so hard and, more importantly, how to fix it. No guilt, no unrealistic rules, just practical, proven moves that help you start saving, even if you feel stuck right now. By the end, you'll see saving money differently and finally have a plan that actually works. The paycheck-to-paycheck trap is one of the biggest reasons Americans struggle to save, and it doesn't discriminate by income. You can be making what looks like good money on paper and still feel broke every month. That's because it's not just about how much you earn, it's about how fast that money disappears. Rent or mortgage payments eat up a huge chunk first. Then come car payments, insurance, utilities, groceries, gas, phone bills, and suddenly your paycheck is already spoken for before you even think about saving. Here's where it gets sneaky. After the big bills, lifestyle costs quietly finish the job. Streaming subscriptions, food delivery, convenience purchases, apps, memberships, and impulse buys don't feel like much in the moment. $10 here, $15 there, it adds up fast. By the time the next paycheck rolls around, there's nothing left. Not because you went wild, but because everything had a claim on your money. Think of it like this simple diagram in your head: income, bills, lifestyle, $0 left, money comes in. Bills take their cut, lifestyle spending fills the gaps, and savings never even get a chance. That's the trap. Most people don't actively choose to spend everything, it just happens automatically. What makes this worse is that many Americans don't see the full picture. Bills are expected, so they don't feel optional. Lifestyle spending feels small and harmless, so it goes unnoticed. And savings get pushed to the bottom of the list as something I'll do when I have extra. But extra never shows up. The system runs on autopilot, and autopilot doesn't care about your future. The real problem isn't income, it's awareness. Most people have never sat down and clearly tracked where their money actually goes in a full month. They estimate, they guess, they hope, and that guessing is what keeps them stuck. Awareness is the first win. When you can clearly see your money in and your money out, you take back control. Once you know your real numbers, you stop feeling confused and start feeling empowered. You realize where the leaks are, where the pressure points are, and where small changes can make a big difference. You can't fix what you don't see, but once you see it, the paycheck-to-paycheck trap starts losing its grip. Lifestyle inflation is the silent killer of savings, and most people don't even realize it's happening. It usually starts with good news: a raise, a new job, a bonus. You feel like you finally caught a break. But instead of that extra money building security, it slowly disappears into a better lifestyle, a nicer apartment, a newer car, more nights eating out, more Amazon boxes showing up at the door. Before you know it, you're making more money than ever, and still feel just as broke. That's where the phrase hits hard. More money, same broke. It's not because you're reckless. It's because lifestyle upgrades feel justified. You worked hard, you earned it, and you deserve comfort. And you do, but when every raise automatically turns into higher expenses, your financial life never actually improves. Your income goes up, but so does your cost of living. The gap stays the same. Lifestyle inflation sneaks in because it feels normal. When everyone around you is upgrading, it's easy to think that's just what you're supposed to do. Social media doesn't help either. You see nicer homes, newer cars, better vacations, and suddenly your current lifestyle feels behind, even if it's working just fine. That pressure pushes people to spend first and think later. Here's the real issue. Most Americans upgrade their lifestyle before upgrading their savings. They wait to see what's left instead of deciding where the money goes ahead of time. And what's left is usually nothing. The raise becomes invisible. Your bank balance doesn't change, your stress doesn't drop, and your future doesn't get any safer. The fix is simple, but powerful. Lock savings before lifestyle upgrades. The moment your income increases, savings should be the first thing that goes up, not spending. Even a small move makes a huge difference. If you get a $200 monthly raise and automatically save $100 of it, your lifestyle still improves, but your future does too. You never miss what you never had. When savings are locked in first, lifestyle inflation loses its power. You can still enjoy upgrades, but they're intentional, not automatic. That's how you break the cycle, not by denying yourself everything, but by making sure your money starts working for you instead of disappearing the moment you earn more. One of the biggest reasons people fail at saving money is surprisingly simple. They don't have a clear goal. Saving money sounds responsible, but it's vague and boring. The brain doesn't get motivated by fuzzy ideas. When the goal isn't clear, saving always feels optional, and optional goals are the first ones to get ignored when life gets busy or money feels tight. Think about the difference between saying, "I should save more," and saying, "I'm building a $5,000 emergency fund." One of those feels real. The other feels like a chore. A specific number gives your brain something to aim at. You can track it. You can measure progress. You can feel wins along the way. Without that, saving just feels like money disappearing for no clear reason. This is why so many people quit saving after a few weeks. They don't feel rewarded. When you move $100 into savings without a purpose, it feels like loss. When you move $100 toward a $5,000 emergency fund that protects you from debt, stress, and panic, it feels like progress. Same action, completely different motivation. Here's where most Americans get stuck. They try to save out of discipline instead of meaning. But discipline fades fast when rent is due, groceries cost more, and life throws curveballs. Meaning lasts. That's why attaching savings to a why is so powerful. Your why turns saving from sacrifice into protection. Your why could be anything that matters to you. An emergency fund so one car repair doesn't wreck your life. A house down payment so you can stop throwing money at rent. A travel fund so vacations don't go on credit cards. Even a sleep better at night fund counts. The key is that it's personal and emotional, not just math. A helpful trick is to name your savings. Don't just label it savings. Call it peace of mind, no more debt, or freedom fund. When you see that name, your brain connects the money to the benefit, not the restriction. Clear goals create momentum. Momentum creates consistency, and consistency is what actually builds savings. You don't need to save perfectly, you need to save with purpose. Once your savings has a clear target and a strong why behind it, Motivation stops being the problem. Saving starts to feel like something you want to do, not something you're forcing yourself to do. Emotional spending runs way more of our financial life than most people want to admit. We like to think we spend logically, but in real life, money decisions are often driven by how we feel. Stress after a long workday, boredom scrolling online, convenience when we're tired and don't want to cook. None of that feels irresponsible in the moment, but over time, it quietly drains your bank account. For most Americans, the work week is exhausting. You're juggling deadlines, traffic, family, and non-stop pressure. When lunchtime hits, spending $12 on takeout feels like a small reward. It's quick, it's comforting, it saves mental energy. But here's where the math hits hard. 12 lunches multiplied by 20 workdays equals $240 a month. That's nearly $3,000 a year just on weekday lunches. And that's only one category. The same thing happens with coffee runs, delivery apps, impulse buys, and treat-yourself moments. None of these purchases are the problem by themselves. The problem is pretending they won't happen. Traditional budgeting advice tells people to cut all of it out. No takeout, no fun, no splurges. That might work for a week or two, but it always backfires. When you try to be perfect, one bad day can blow the whole budget. The real fix isn't eliminating emotional spending, it's planning for it. Emotional spending is human. Ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It just makes it unpredictable. When you budget for emotional spending on purpose, you stay in control. You decide the limit instead of letting your emotions decide for you. For example, instead of pretending you'll never buy lunch, set a realistic food out budget. Maybe it's $120 a month instead of $240. That's progress, not failure. Or you plan takeout nights so they're intentional, not reactive. The key is awareness plus permission within limits. This approach removes guilt. When spending is planned, you enjoy it more and regret it less. You stop feeling like money is something you're bad at and start seeing it as something you manage. Emotional spending only runs the show when it's unacknowledged. Once you recognize it and build it into your system, it stops being a leak and starts being a controlled choice. That's how real saving happens, not by pretending you're a robot, but by budgeting like a human. One of the biggest money myths Americans grow up believing is this idea, I'll save whatever is left at the end of the month. It sounds responsible, but in real life, leftovers don't exist. Bills expand, spending creeps in, and something always comes up. By the time the month is over, there's nothing left to save and the cycle repeats. The problem is that spending naturally rises to meet your income. When money sits in your checking account, it feels available. Groceries run a little higher. You say yes to plans you didn't expect. A random expense pops up. None of it feels wrong in the moment, but it slowly eats away at what you thought would be left over. Saving last means saving never. That's why waiting to save what's left fails almost every time. It puts saving at the bottom of your priority list. And when money gets tight, the last thing people protect is their future self. The system is backwards. The fix is simple and powerful. Pay yourself first. Treat savings like a bill, not an option. Just like rent or utilities, savings should come out automatically before you get a chance to spend it. When the money never hits your checking account, you don't miss it. You adjust around what's left instead of hoping something will be left. Even small amounts make a real difference. Let's break it down with simple math. If you save just $50 per paycheck and you get paid every 2 weeks, that's 26 paychecks a year. $50 26 equals $1,300 a year. That's not extreme. That's not painful. But it adds up to real security, an emergency fund starter, car repair money, or a buffer that keeps you out of debt. And here's the part most people overlook. Saving first reduces stress. When you know money is already set aside, You stop panicking when life throws a surprise. You feel more in control, even if the amount isn't huge yet. Paying yourself first turns saving into a system, not a struggle. It removes willpower from the equation and replaces it with automation. You're no longer asking, "Can I save this month?" You've already decided. If you want saving to actually work, stop waiting for leftovers. Build savings into your life the same way you build bills into it. Future, you will thank you. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to save money isn't income or discipline, it's relying on willpower. Willpower sounds strong, but it's unreliable. It fades when you're tired, stressed, bored, or overwhelmed. After a long workday, the last thing anyone wants to do is make perfect financial decisions. And when saving depends on remembering or trying harder, it usually falls apart. That's because willpower is a limited resource. You use it all day at work, with family, making decisions, handling stress. By the time money choices show up, there's not much left. That's why people say they'll save next month or when things calm down. The problem isn't motivation, it's the system. Systems last when willpower doesn't. A system doesn't care how you feel. It works automatically, even on bad days. That's the secret behind people who seem effortlessly good with money. They're not stronger than you, they just remove decision-making from the process. The simplest system starts with automation. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account every time you get paid. It doesn't have to be big. Even $25 or $50 per paycheck builds momentum. Once it's automatic, saving stops being a choice and becomes routine. You don't think about it. You don't negotiate with yourself. It just happens. Next, use separate accounts. When savings sit in the same account as spending money, it's way too easy to dip into it. Out of sight, out of reach. A separate savings account creates a mental boundary. That money is no longer available, it's protected. Some people even use multiple savings accounts for different goals, like emergencies, travel, or future plans. This makes saving feel purposeful instead of abstract. The real fix is removing decisions from the equation. When saving requires daily effort, it competes with everything else in your life. When it's automated and separated, it runs quietly in the background. You don't need perfect discipline. You need a setup that works when you're human. Saving money shouldn't feel like a constant battle. When you stop relying on willpower and start relying on systems, consistency becomes easy. And consistency, not motivation, is what actually builds savings over time. Debt is one of the biggest reasons Americans struggle to save money, not just financially, but psychologically. When you're carrying credit card balances, personal loans, or high interest payments, saving can feel pointless. Every dollar you try to put away feels like it should be going toward debt instead. That tension creates stress, confusion, and inaction. People end up stuck doing neither well. The problem is that most debt payments feel like progress, but they're really just maintenance. Minimum payments keep you in the game, but they don't move you forward. They cover interest first and barely touch the balance. Month after month, you pay, yet the debt hardly shrinks. That's exhausting. And when your money is tied up just keeping debt alive, saving feels unsafe, like you're one emergency away from everything falling apart. This is why many people abandon savings altogether while in debt. They feel like they don't deserve to save or that it doesn't make sense until they're debt-free. But here's the truth, without any savings, debt becomes even more dangerous. One unexpected expense, a car repair, medical bill, or job hiccup, and you're right back on the credit card. The cycle never ends. The smart move isn't choosing between saving or debt. It's doing both in the right order. The first step is building a small emergency fund. Not a massive one, just enough to create breathing room. Even $500 or $1,000 can be life-changing. That small buffer stops emergencies from turning into new debt. It gives you a sense of safety that changes how you think and act with money. Once that foundation is in place, you can attack high-interest debt aggressively. Focus on the balances that are costing you the most, usually credit cards. Pay more than the minimum whenever possible. Every extra dollar goes directly toward progress, not just survival. As balances drop, cash flow improves, and saving starts to feel possible again. The key is understanding that saving isn't a luxury, it's protection. Debt keeps people stuck in survival mode. A small emergency fund gives you stability. Stability gives you confidence. And confidence makes it easier to stick to a plan. You don't need to be debt-free to start saving, but you do need a strategy. Build a small safety net first, then go after high-interest debt with focus. That's how you break the fear cycle and start feeling in control of your money again. The fix for most saving struggles isn't some complicated spreadsheet or extreme budget. It's a simple system that works with real life. When money feels out of control, it's usually because there's no clear order for where it goes. A system gives your money a job before it disappears. And the good news? It doesn't have to be perfect to work. Here's a basic savings system that actually makes sense. Income, fixed bills, savings, guilt-free spending first. Income comes in. That's your paycheck, side hustle money, or any consistent cash flow. The key is recognizing this as the starting point, not the part where you decide what to spend, but where you decide what matters. Next are fixed bills, rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments. These are non-negotiables. They get paid first because stability matters. This step isn't about cutting everything. It's about covering the essentials so your life keeps running smoothly. After bills comes the most important move, savings. This is where most people go wrong. Savings should come before fun spending, not after. Even a small amount counts. Whether it's $25 or $100 per paycheck, putting savings here turns it into a priority instead of an afterthought. This is how you build momentum and security without waiting for extra money that never shows up. Finally, whatever is left goes to guilt-free spending. This is crucial. Money for food out, entertainment, hobbies, or small splurges should be planned, not eliminated. When spending is guilt-free and intentional, you're less likely to binge spend or blow the budget. You get to enjoy your money without stress. What makes this system work is flexibility, not perfection. Some months will be tight. Some expenses will surprise you. That doesn't mean the system failed, it means life happened. You adjust the numbers, not abandon the plan. Saving isn't about hitting exact percentages every month. It's about consistently putting something aside. This system works because it's simple, repeatable, and human. It doesn't ask you to be perfect, it asks you to be consistent. When your money flows in a clear order, decisions get easier, stress drops, and saving finally starts to feel doable. Saving money isn't about restriction, it's about control. Too many people think saving means cutting out all the fun, skipping coffee, or saying no to everything they enjoy. That's the myth. Real saving gives you options, not limits. It's the freedom to handle emergencies without panic, the ability to say yes to opportunities without debt, and the confidence to know your future is protected. When you take control of your money, you stop reacting to life and start directing it. That's the real power of a solid savings system. Think about it. When you have even a small emergency fund, unexpected bills don't ruin your month. When you automate savings, you don't have to rely on willpower or hope there's something left over at the end of the week. You've created a structure that supports you, no matter what life throws your way. Saving becomes a tool, not a chore. You're no longer just surviving paycheck to paycheck, you're thriving, planning, and building security for yourself and your loved ones. Now here's where you come in. I want to know what stops you from saving the most right now. Is it lifestyle expenses, debt, or just not knowing where to start? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's start a conversation and help each other out. And don't go anywhere yet. In the next video, I'll show you how to save more money without earning more, with real, actionable tips that work for everyday Americans. You don't need a bigger paycheck to make a difference in your savings. You just need the right system. Remember, saving isn't about cutting yourself short. It's about taking control, building security, and creating freedom. Stay consistent, stay focused, and let your money work for you, not the other way around. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and let's start building financial freedom together.